Hello, once again, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Coming to the Line. My name is Jacob Barker, and today I'm joined by Mason Wood. How are we doing, my man?
I'm doing good. How you doing? I had a good weekend. Saw Oppenheimer for a second time and got to see some racing. I'm not gonna call it good racing, but I saw some racing this weekend. How about you? How you doing?
We're hanging in there. Yeah, we definitely saw some racing this weekend. Not saying it was great, not saying it was bad, but there was some racing this weekend.
Yeah.
So, for those of you who are wondering where Chris is, he is currently preoccupied at the moment. He should be joining us in just a little bit, and if he is not able to, we'll figure that out as we go along. So if you hear a random voice in the distance, just don't worry about it. It's Chris. He'll be fine. So let's just hop into this right away and start with F1. This weekend was the Belgian Grand Prix, and to whose surprise that Verstappen won once again.
Can't say I'm at all surprised. I mean, by 22 seconds this week. I mean, hey, at least it
Is that
wasn't
it?
30. That's what I'm seeing online. It was by 22 seconds this week. So
Oh
not
man,
not his largest win, but gosh, just another dominating performance. There's not much to say. He's won what 9 in a row at this point. So
something like that, 8 or 9 in a row.
yeah,
Um, but to be fair, he did it with a new gearbox component and had a 5 place grid penalty. So it did take him a couple races to get, or a couple laps to get up to the front. But for a while, it did seem like that, Checo was going to get the dub. Did not turn out that way, unfortunately. But it is a great day nonetheless for Red Bull once again, taking what is this, their 12th consecutive win to start the season?
yeah. I don't think that they've been bested so far this year. It's been all Red Bull, and to be honest, it's hard to predict it any other way. I mean, we've had conversations on here before about what team wins, other than Red Bull. I mean, I don't even know if those conversations are going to be valid by the end of the year because it might be Red Bull the whole way through at this point.
So I just counted that as their 13th win on the season in a row. So that is that's an unreal number. But if you count last year's Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, that's 14 races in a row for Red Bull. That's an unreal number.
It's absolutely ridiculous, and I think it's definitely been tough on some of the fans, and we've definitely seen some of the F1 fans just not happy about the racing and stuff like that, and not happy about the competition. And not every year is going to be close and tight racing, but this certainly I don't think is what anybody was hoping for, because this is about as far from a tight championship battle as you can get. And it's tough kind of, watching and knowing that not only is the championship not close, but almost every race isn't close. And I saw somebody on Twitter the other day that they were paying more attention to the third and fourth place guys on the point standings. And if you look there, it's quite an entertaining battle. I mean, it's quite
Mm-hmm.
entertaining. If you just throw Red Bull out of your mind, you act like they don't exist. F1's pretty entertaining, but unfortunately, F1 does have Red Bull at the top of the pack, so it's been kind of tough. But you know, someone's going to have to step up at some point, but it's hard to see that happening because Red Bull's just kind of they got it on lock. I mean, what is there to do at this point?
I mean, it's crazy to think about how they're just literally just pooping on everybody. I mean, we can go back and say, oh, Jimmy Johnson did it with Hendrick Motorsports, but this is on another level.
Well, and at least then too, like it's not like he was like I think what the most wins he had in a row was maybe 3, 4 at one point,
Three or four.
but like it wasn't like he was winning like 9 races in a row. And I mean, can you imagine the outcry if somebody in NASCAR won 9 races in a row? I mean, if the same team won 12 races in a row, like if Hendrick was not dominating, like there would be so much outcry
Mm-hmm.
over there about, oh, this team's cheating, this is happening, this and that. And so it would just be like, I think sometimes NASCAR fans have to be grateful for what they have. And sometimes I think F1 fans should try out different racings, different, you know, Go watch, IndyCar. Go watch NASCAR. Try something new because I promise you'll find something that you like a little bit more than F1. It's not an offense to F1 because I love F1,
Oh
but
yeah,
at this time, right, it's not the most entertaining thing on Sundays. You need something else to entertain you. I mean, shoot, IndyCar is one of the most entertaining things of the year so far. So I would check that out.
definitely. And the same can be said about the Xfinity Series. In my opinion, that's the best product that NASCAR has on the track right now, and they proved it this weekend as well.
Yeah, the Xfinity series, I mean, for years has been one of the best products. I love the car. It's it's one of the lightest cars in NASCAR, and so that it just allows them to go much faster. We're seeing much higher speeds, and the biggest thing is it's allowing these guys to move around a lot more. There's a lot more movability in these cars, and I think that that's a big deal. They're not glued to the ground, and so you've got a lot of young guys and some cars that are more difficult to drive than the Cup cars. You put yourself in that position. It's a very interesting race. I love watching the Xfinity series. So you've got plenty of other options, but
Oh
at
yeah,
the same time, it's like F1 is very entertaining, but you're tuning in every week and we know what's going to happen. Guess who I'm predicting to win the next Grand Prix a month from now? Max.
George Russell.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna pick. Let's see, who do I want to pick in a month from now? Give me, you know what? Give me Kevin Magnussen. No, I'm just,
Oh, 100%. The same man. How many points does Kevin Magnussen have?
oh,
He has a whole 2 points right now.
Dose. Nice, nice. You know, he he's definitely gonna win when we get. No, I'm just kidding. Obviously, Max is gonna win. Who the hell am I kidding, bro?
There are only two drivers that are on the grid right now who have not scored points. That is Logan Sargent and Daniel Ricciardo. Granted, Ricciardo just started his season 2 races ago.
Yeah, he'll probably find a way to get in the points at some point this year. So I expect him to. Sargent, on the other hand, uh
No.
oh, uh oh.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be in that seat next year.
Yeah, especially I mean, no points. He's like it's looking like he could be the only guy with no points at the end of the year. That's uh that's loser seat worthy.
hmm And speaking of points, going back to the points battle for third and fourth, it's a very close battle between Fernando Alonso in third, who has 149 points, and Lewis Hamilton in fourth, who has 148 points. So that battle is going to go all the way down to Abu Dhabi, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's kind of gotten tighter over the last few weeks because Lewis has had some really good runs, and I feel like you know, he's had good runs. Fernando's been solid. He finished fifth yesterday, just behind Lewis. But there's been, I mean, he was ninth last, the race before that. So he hasn't been as solidly consistent. He's kind of lost a little bit in the last couple of races. So it's going to kind of come down to if if that fifth place finish is a step in the right direction for them, if they're back where they need to be, or if they've kind of fallen off a little bit. So it's going to be very interesting to see. But hey, if you focus on that third and fourth place battle for points, then you're probably having a pretty good time watching the F1 races because that's a very close battle, and a lot of that is because of you have Lewis and you have Fernando, and
Fernando.
they've both had races where they've been really good, and they've both had races where they've been okay. They've been 10th, ninth, so that aspect of it is very interesting because at least like when it's Max, he's finishing first, second, or third, right? Like if you're in a
Oh,
championship
yeah.
battle with Max, he's finishing somewhere on the podium. Versus with these guys right now, that third, fourth place battle, it's anywhere from second to eighth to 10th that they're running and that they finish. It's a lot more variety there, and so just it's adding each week. There's a lot more swings in the points that in that area, and just things are getting a lot more interesting. Things are interesting if you look at that area.
Oh, definitely. And so I want to bring back a point from your segment that's obviously named after the podcast, Come to the Line. Uh, was it about a month ago or so, where you asked us where we think Max is going to clinch the championship. As of as of right now, Max has a 115-point championship lead over Perez. That's over a 4 race gap to Perez, and there are 10 races left on the schedule. So as it sits right now, if he wins, maybe let's say just for example, if Perez doesn't score points in the Netherlands or Italy, Max could have this championship clinched by Singapore, and
Yeah.
that would be with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 races left.
Yeah, I think he can have this thing wrapped up by Singapore. I think having it wrapped up by Japan is also a very big possibility. But that time is coming, and it's coming close. And I think it's going to be interesting to see. Like, I'm sure ratings haven't been fantastic, but do they drop even more when it's finally set in stone? Like, hey man, we got 7 races to go. Max is your champion. Congrats! Like, at that point, you're just competing for like. Then things get real difficult because then you're competing for race wins, but then you're not winning because somebody else is winning, and it's just right now. I don't know what to say, man. F1's just
It's not in a good spot right now, especially in the U.S.
No, definitely not. I think it just needs more competition. I don't know what else to say about it.
I don't know either, if I'm being perfectly honest.
I feel like we've sat here, we've mentioned different ways of fixing it. We've talked about every aspect of it. I mean, there's not much else to say other than the racing product hasn't been good. Someone's dominating, and just watch the third and fourth place point battles. That's all I have to say on it. I mean, it's that's where I'm at. I will say, if we're talking about the weekend, I definitely just we all talked about it together, me, you, and Chris, but just how pointless the sprint qualifying is. Never been a fan of it personally, and
It's terrible.
Once again, I don't really think it did much this weekend.
I don't understand the point of it. I will never understand the point of it. But we don't get paid to make these decisions. That's why we're here today.
Well, it just feels so random. Like, it's just like I don't know
exactly.
when we have a sprint because like it's so we'll go 9 weeks without a sprint, and they're like, oh, sprint on Saturday, and I'm like, since when? Like I don't look hard enough at the schedule to know exactly which races have sprints and which do not. Okay. Like when I play F1 23 and I get to the race that has a sprint, it's a surprise. I'm like, oh, cool, sprint race.
I don't.
In F1 23, it's one thing. In real life, it's another.
Yeah, I don't look at the schedule hard enough, if I'm being perfectly honest. But you know what? That's just me. Anyway, so yeah, nice day for Red Bull at the Belgian Grand Prix. Rough day for McLaren.
Yeah, no, not the day that they needed. You already said it, but Lando Norris freaking ping pong ball out there.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I jinxed him last week. I apologize, Lando. But you know what? It happened. Oscar Piastri with the DNF on lap 1, turn 1, pretty much. And then Lando pretty much, like I said earlier, got pinged around like a ping pong ball. Just went from 19th, or from his starting spot, which was 5th, I think, all the way down to 19th, back up to 7th. So it was a great rebound, but still, it was a rough day for McLaren, and that's not what they needed after the 2 podium finishes that Lando got in the 2 previous races.
Yeah, that momentum definitely did not carry over, and so they definitely weren't able to earn as many points as they wanted to. But there was some guys that kind of snuck up there. Yuki Tsunoda was in the top 10, got himself a point for AlphaTauri this weekend, which was good for him. But definitely not the weekend that we wanted to see McLaren have. And you could definitely argue that Aston Martin wasn't as fast as people would have expected. Fernando 5th, Stroll in 9th. But at the same time, I mean, Aston Martin's been hard to tell because it feels like Fernando and Lance are just so far apart from each other right now. And like Fernando's just on a different level than what Lance has been. Lance has kind of been, we talked about it. Fernando's been kind of, he runs between 3rd and 6th, and he has that occasional 9th, 10th place. But Lance is kind of consistently sitting 8th, 9th, 10th. Like, we're not seeing a lot of Lance up in the top 5 or anything like that. So, could that be, something to be concerned about in the back half of the year? Who knows? But
Who
there's definitely
knows?
some teams that need to get some more points. We've obviously talked about Logan Sargent hasn't gotten any. He finished 17th, second to last car running on the grid, 104 seconds back.
Jesus.
So, yeah, Nico Hulkenberg was the last car running on the grid. He was 110 seconds back. So, unfortunate, Haas needs to get some points. Some of those teams need to find ways to sneak up there, whether, it's by strategy or what. They got to find a way to sneak up there and get some points.
Well, they will have a chance at Monza at the beginning of September, in my opinion. So Monza is always a great racetrack for an upset. You never know what will happen there. That's why we watch. But before then, before Monza, we've got summer break and then the Dutch Grand Prix in the Netherlands coming up the weekend of August 25th to the 27th. So almost a full month break for F1. So F1 fans, tune in on Sundays for IndyCar, NASCAR. Just give it a chance.
Yeah, there's plenty to watch during this break, guys. So just find something to watch. SRX on Thursdays. Football season. If you like football, it's coming back soon. Can't wait for that. Training camp started this week. Lots going on there. So, there's plenty of things to watch on Sundays. And for me, I'm honestly, like, I keep looking at the schedule and I'm so excited for Japan just because Japan's an 11 o'clock at night race. And I know I'm definitely going to be able to watch that. See, for you, that's a lot worse. It's 2 a.m. for you. It's kind of like every Sunday because normally the races for you are at 9 a.m. For me, they're at 6 a.m. I don't know anybody that willingly wants to get up at 6 a.m. on a Sunday. So
I could never.
Yeah, so it's like it's a little difficult. I usually catch the final 20 laps of the race usually because that's when I'm, I get up in the morning, I throw it on, I get up, I have an alarm set, so I throw it on the TV, so then I wake up a little bit later and it's already on. It's perfect.
It'd be like that sometimes.
It has to be, I mean, there's definitely been some times I've slept through a NASCAR race, not fully, but I think it was the spring Richmond race this year. I fell asleep during.
Man, I almost fell asleep during this one. That was rough yesterday. But we will get to that in just a little bit. But that is enough F1 for now. That's all we've got for our F1 segment. Let's move on to IndyCar for now.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching this most recent edition of the Outside Line podcast. If you like what you heard, make sure to check us out on Spotify at The Outside Line. And if you liked Christopher, Jacob, and I's opinions, make sure to check us out on Bagsport's page for more articles and opinions about F1, NASCAR, and IndyCar. Thank you again for watching The Outside Line.